welcome back to Unbuttoned Podcast.
I have no idea what we're talking about today.
Yeah, last week we recorded a podcast, one that actually we wanted to record for a while, but the microphones weren't working in true fashion of us. So we'll re-record that one at some point. But
we were also really distracted tracking a hurricane.
That's what I was just about to say. But we were tracking a hurricane and time slipped away quickly.
Yeah.
But that leads us into the one we're going to talk about today. And the reason Elizabeth doesn't know what it is because it's about her.
Oh, God.
And it is Travels with Elizabeth.
No, Jesus.
Because let me start this by saying...
Do you have a notebook?
Yeah. Just so I don't forget, because there's been so many things. But
I've gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't I? Oh, well, not this past trip.
Yeah, no, you haven't. But I'm going to start by saying this. When we travel, I am what one might say a
Type A
soft
traveler.
Type A traveler.
Yeah.
I don't need a reservation for every single night.
Yeah.
I don't need like a printed out packet of like where to turn left. Don't be ridiculous. And I surely don't want a calendar of events every day.
Yeah.
Like we're going on a trip for a reason. Like live a little.
And when I fuck shit up, you don't like freak out. You help me calm down.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna be upset at things. So, because I feel like a strong type A would be like really frazzled by this stuff, and a strong type A like has every night planned out on vacation.
A few times you had every right to be frazzled, though.
Right. So, okay. So I just want to preface with that. I'm a soft type A, as in like I want to have our flights booked. I want to be like timely. You know that. Elizabeth is a.
I want to be that person.
Hard type B when we travel. Meaning, she's lucky if she makes it there.
It doesn't help that my husband's even worse than me. Like, he's really bad, too.
Such a smart person, and she usually is guiding us here in the office. But when it comes to travel, I'm almost positive my 5-year-old and 3-year-old might be better than Elizabeth.
Okay, well, can we just talk about how Peter, this is probably the worst ever story that has ever happened. We were leaving for a trip, my husband and I. And we were leaving the freaking crowded ass Avery Fields, which if you're not local, this is like the most
busy
crowded soccer field ever. And he decided he wanted to drive. So he closed the trunk because we had to get some stuff out for the kids to give to his in-laws. And he closed the trunk, got in the car, and as we're driving away right past the crowded soccer fields, our trunk flies open and his suitcase literally flies out into the middle of the road.
Now, I want to say, though, when you texted us that picture, I certainly thought it was you.
I know. That's what I mean.
Here goes
like,
Elizabeth.
that would be something I would do, but I just love that it wasn't.
Yeah. So she's trying to deflect that Peter did one thing in his suitcase.
But it really doesn't help. Like, I feel like he's kind of made me more like bad because he just is like, I mean, he freaking throws some T-shirts into, like, I'm even surprised he had a suitcase.
Okay, but guys are like that. Like, my husband will take a backpack on a trip and it's
He
fine.
always is really OCD about, like, the flight reservations, only because he's bougie and likes it a certain way.
Okay, you are not anal about anything.
No.
Elizabeth is also the type that will be going on a work trip and,
Lauren's
it'll
asking
be a
about
few
outfits
months
like
before.
4 months before.
Well, a few months before, and I'm like, we need to plan this out. We've got childcare to plan for. We've got like inventory to plan for, this and that. And she'll be like, we'll figure it out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to figure it out now. So
She has to,
also
like, force
saying
me.
that I have somewhat in some capacity taken over the travel reservations for the shop because it needed to happen. It needed to happen. But I'm just going to, honest to God, share some of the things Elizabeth has done. And I know for a fact that I'm forgetting some.
I'll try to think of
But
them
I will
if you're
also
forgetting
say
me.
this about her. While she does all these things, she is a really fun person to go on a trip with because she doesn't give a rip. I mean, she'll do whatever. She'll go wherever. She'll wear whatever.
Yeah.
She'll forget her toothbrush. She doesn't care. She does
I
not
bought
care.
a razor in the airport last week.
Because I'm getting to that. Because when we get somewhere, she gets in the shower and she goes, oh, can I borrow a razor? Can I borrow a hairbrush?
Okay, that happened one time.
My point being is Elizabeth.
And for the record, I had a razor. I was just too lazy to get out of the shower and grab it. So I just shaved my armpits with your razor.
Type B. Type B. But that also comes down to how Elizabeth packs for a trip.
Yeah.
I
have gotten
I'm
better
not
with that.
As type A, I don't have like packing cubes in my
Oh.
thing. Now I have before, but I honestly don't do that. It's kind of more work.
Yeah.
But I definitely plan my outfits and bring extra
I do too. I
backups.
just do it the night before.
So Elizabeth will be ready to leave. I'll call her the night before, like, hey, laying down to go to bed. remind me to grab my charger in the morning, like, just using it tonight. She'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm about to throw some stuff in a bag.
I remembered your shoes this weekend, though. That was the one thing that you told me to bring.
I actually brought backups because I thought for sure you weren't going to remember
you didn't even end up wearing them, did you?
No, because I thought you weren't going to bring them. So I went out and bought a new pair because I was like, I know she's not going to remember this. I'm impressed.
I put them in the closet when we got there, but then when we were leaving, I forgot I put them in there, and Peter was like, you have shoes in the closet, so I almost left them.
Oh, my God, see? Case in point. And Peter remembered them. But anyways, so she's very fun to travel with. She doesn't remember a lot of things. And
I just feel like most things, like when I'm walking out the door, I'm like, okay, do I have my medication? Do I have my phone? Do I have my ID?
Okay.
Everything else I can get, most likely.
And she does. So, okay, I'm just going to, these aren't specifically in order. They're kind of in order, but I can't, honestly, some of the first ones, I can't remember what came before the other. But we go to a buying market in New York. Okay, so everybody who's been in New York knows it's busy.
This one was truly so stressful.
It's busy. We get in really late. It's dark. We take a cab from the airport to the hotel.
Yeah.
We roll in. Okay, so the first one being we go to New York. Okay, it's crowded. It's busy. We take a cab to the hotel.
Yeah.
And when we get to this hotel, it's like rocking. We're like, what is going on?
It was really late. It was like nighttime.
Yeah, it was dark.
It was probably like plopped in the middle of New York City.
It was probably 10:30, 11 o'clock. Yeah, plopped in the middle of New York City. And we have to be up in the morning to go to buying market. I don't know. There was something going on. Well, there's always something going on in New York, but
or something,
there was something large going on where there were a lot of people.
It was like a Hyatt, so there's always something going on. Yeah.
So we roll up to the counter, and we're standing there, and Elizabeth pulls out her ID to check in, and the guy's like, "We don't have a reservation for you." And she's like, what? I made the reservation.
I was so confident. I'm like, I have it right here.
Right.
I showed him the reservation.
Before she showed the reservation, she's looking for it in her email, which she has 26,000 unread emails.
I probably have more than that at this point.
We looked the other day because we were cringing in here. And so if that tells you anything about how long it took at the counter for her to find this email, about 10 minutes later, she goes, here's my confirmation. She shows it to the guy confidently, okay? And he's like, oh, that's not for today. That's for tomorrow.
Yeah, I booked it for the wrong day.
And we're like, oh, okay. I'm like, no big deal. I'm like, well, can we just take a room tonight? He's like, oh, no, we're fully booked.
Fully booked.
Like, how are you fully booked? How does that even happen?
Fully booked. I feel like no hotel is ever fully ass booked.
I mean, I guess unless you're in New York City. I know, but there's a million.
I know.
Like, I thought for sure, like, no way you're fully booked. So he's fully booked, and then he's like, is there any way?
There's not even a freaking penthouse or anything.
No, yeah, well, like, we'll take anything. And he's like, no, we've got nothing. And he's like, is there any way I can help you? And they were making cookies behind the table, and Elizabeth's like, we'll take 2 cookies.
I forgot about that.
So we grab 2 freshly baked cookies and decide, guess we're going to head down the street, rolling our luggage down New York.
It was so stressful.
A street, New York side street. And we did find another hotel.
There was one right next door.
Yeah, we got in, and thankfully they found us a room. So that was resolved. I was like, okay.
It felt a little sketchy at first, though, because it was like a really small hotel, and it was really quiet in there.
And it was dead in there.
But and we didn't have any time to research it or anything.
No, it could have had like bed bugs for all we knew. We didn't. We needed a bed. It was fine.
It was an experience. I can't even
remember it, though. Oh, yes, I do.
Remember, it was like really little.
Yeah, and it was like.
We've stayed in way worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but it certainly wasn't our worst.
Yeah.
But it was somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So then that was it. You know, the rest of the trip went fine. It was fun.
Didn't we do something else on that trip?
In New York?
Yeah. I feel like I remember walking down the street.
We were walking down the street and we were debating about the horses in New York City. Remember? You were like, they're so beautiful. I'm like, they're literally in a cage in the middle of New York. And then we started researching that really hard. We got down a real path of horses in New York. But I don't think anything else went awry on that trip that I can remember, which I'm sure if I think of it, we'll circle back.
Yeah.
But so then
that one was a scary one.
Yeah, that one. If it wasn't night, I would have been like, okay,
I know,
whatever. We'll find one throughout the day.
Like the feeling of walking out there and being like, oh my God. And this wasn't like in Times Square where it's like hustle and bustle. This was like, I mean, it wasn't a bad area, but it was like a quiet street. Like, yeah.
And it was dark and it was late. And it was
homeless
a little
people.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
There was it was weird. A little convenience store across the street that looked real sketch.
What was the name of that restaurant though? We need to tell people to go there.
Oh my God. So after
that was such a cute
this is the second day, we were like, well, let's I guess find something close to our new hotel here. And we found this Italian restaurant. It was so freaking cute inside.
God, what was it called?
Was delicious. I have a picture from it, and I can picture the bar, and I can picture our food.
I still get emails from them. They're like known for their rosé and their homemade pasta.
From like
it's across from like Bryant Park area,
the green space. But
we'll
look
have to share it.
But it was delicious. So that was a highlight of the trip. Honestly,
it was probably one of my favorite pasta dishes I've ever had.
It was good.
That was really good.
I'm pretty sure we clean plate clubbed
that when we thought we could just blow through money like it was.
Oh yeah, we should mention that. So when we traveled, this is part of the travel with us. When it was just Elizabeth and I, before we
understood cash flow,
understood a budget or cash flow or anything like that, we would go on these trips. We
didn't really have to yet, though.
We didn't. I mean, we had no expenses. We had zero expenses at this point. We were working at Elizabeth's house. We did. Yeah, we could ball on a budget without the budget.
Yeah.
So we would stay at some nice hotels, go to nice restaurants, and it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
Like it's and we would go 48 hours. Like it was like maybe 1 or 2 dinners.
But we went to like 4 markets in the first like 5 months.
Yeah,
we traveled
We did travel a lot, but we had to kind of like learn the vendors and build relationships and stuff, which I will say, which sounds funny that we went to that many. However, I'm so glad we did.
I am too. In hindsight, it was financially irresponsible, but like had we not, I don't think we would have like found our key vendors and understood.
And again,
like, the
we
process.
kind of were in a place financially. We didn't pay for anything else.
Yeah.
Like we quite literally paid for inventory and that was it.
Yeah.
So we could. But anyways, this was one of our many trips. The first one we ever went to was in Chicago, and we thought it was so cool. Then we started going to other ones and we were like, is that even still? I know, I was going to say, is that still a thing?
That was back. We had to even, just to go out to eat, we had to have a Vax card.
Yes. Remember we were so worried about not remembering our Vax card.
That was really, it's so weird that was only like 2 years ago.
And so now that I'm thinking about this, I can't remember if New York, it had to have been, when Elizabeth and I first would go to talking about not knowing how to spend money. To be fair, we barely knew each other at the beginning of starting this, which everyone always asks if we've known each other for a long time. So we would get to hotel rooms.
Yeah, that too.
Which, why would we do that? There's
now
2 beds.
We all share.
We all four share a bedroom. But I don't know. We were being kind of bougie then. Which actually, it's way more fun when we share a room anyways. I'm not sure why we did that.
We just didn't know each other very well. And like at my old job, everyone got their own rooms because it was like, just like kind of the like HR
like
thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, we have no HR department here.
But I didn't want you to feel like weird about it. I just didn't know you that well yet.
Totally.
I was like, she probably wants her own space.
And I didn't either. Like I was like, oh God, I don't, you know. So it was fine. It worked out. However, that's something to think about when we didn't have a room the first night and they were sold out. We were looking for 2 rooms.
That's so true. We didn't even share a room when we did that. Yeah.
And then we went to the next hotel, and I remember saying to you, I mean, if they just have 1 room, we can always share a room.
I was like, no, I don't want to
make
you do that.
No, we don't have to. I was like, it'll be fine. We ended up finding 2 rooms, but again, it was not needed. So then we take another trip, what's new, and we go to Dallas. And that trip,
I feel like I've done the most dumb shit in Dallas. Like I've done something so stupid every single time we've been in Dallas.
Yeah, we'll get to all of it. But this time we go to Dallas. Again, it's just Elizabeth and I this time still. This was before Tracy and Sav worked here.
Yeah.
And we had a great trip. And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, we have no blunders. We are going home. This is going to be chef's kiss. Like that was just a one-time thing. She did that in New York. No big deal.
No.
She gets an Uber, and we actually have this wonderful Uber driver.
Oh,
She's very eccentric. She was amazing. She was handing out positivity cards.
She was so great.
She was great. So we get to the airport though, and our flight leaves in probably about
we were kind of
an
hour.
Yeah. So we were like, we'll get food. We're talking about all the things we're going to do in this airport, and then we start walking around the airport, and we're like, where the hell is our plane? Where's our terminal? Where's our gate?
Yeah.
And we realized we're at the wrong airport.
Yeah, it's Dallas Love Field,
right.
Which I honestly, when I got the Uber, I just typed in Dallas Airport and clicked it. But apparently there's 2. And this one like it's only Southwest.
And I just wish we could attach
American
pictures to these.
Something.
I'm going to figure out this time how I can attach pictures because I have a picture of her standing in the airport like so confused.
And we were like really kind of behind on time. But
Very
I remember
much
the
so.
Southwest guy, we were like, where's the Delta terminal or whatever we were flying? And he's like, oh, this airport don't have Delta.
He's like, we don't have that. And we're like, what do you mean you don't have that?
I was like, oh my God.
He's like, you're at the wrong airport. And we're like, how far is the other airport? And he looked at our ticket and he's like, if you leave right this instant, you could maybe get on before they close the doors.
Yeah.
So we leave. We somehow, by the grace of God, made our flight. We were running and we were those people in the airport. We made it. It was fine. And that was Dallas trip 1.
Yeah. That woman was so sweet. I forgot about her.
She was so sweet.
She was about to celebrate her
birthday, and she said she just really wanted to take a trip for her birthday.
And she had just lost her dog, which was her best friend. She was alone her whole life.
Yeah, you did give her a nice tip for her trip and stuff. Like, she was honestly really sweet. It was
so sweet.
Meant
she
to be that we
cried.
were in her taxi or cab or Uber or whatever you call it. I just sound like my mom there.
You did.
But anyway, so that was the first time. We go back to Dallas, and I don't know if this Dallas trip was right after that or another time, but while we're on Dallas, we happened to go wasn't it like a snowstorm in Dallas, which it never, like, we're like, it snows in Dallas? How does this even happen?
I don't remember this.
This was the hotel that we thought was going to be the Taj Mahal.
Oh my God.
Remember, it was snowing, so the line was really long. We waited in line.
It was a Hilton, right?
Yeah, and we're like, okay, this is Hilton. It's going to be nice. This is us still in our bougie phase.
Yeah.
And the lobby, the hotel was huge. It did look nice.
Dallas? Yeah, that was Dallas.
It was Dallas because Atlanta's when we stayed at the Ritz.
Oh, yeah.
Again, why we were staying at the Ritz is
I get them confused because they're so similar. Like,
they are,
everything
but this
about
was Dallas.
them
I know that because this was probably the last time we didn't share a room.
Yeah.
And we think this is going to be a nice hotel. We're walking through the lobby.
Like, the lobby was really nice, like super nice. Like, it was like huge, and like the middle part was like
when we
fountains.
say huge, there was like different wings of this hotel with like fountains and stuff.
It was like a big conference hotel. I think
we couldn't find a single restaurant. Remember, we were starving.
Yeah, that was it. That hotel.
That was like
weirdest.
strike one. We're like looking around. We're like, where does one eat here? How would you have a hotel this big and not have like a restaurant
or like room service or anything?
Yes,
there was a bar downstairs.
We were passing. We were like, oh, well, we'll just get room service then. So we get upstairs and we walk into the room and the light is flickering.
Like literally like a back alley. And it smelled so bad.
It smelled disgusting and the light was flickering.
And it was like they had renovated like the whole like main area, like the lobby and everything, but they didn't touch the rooms in freaking 100 years. They were gross.
There was probably mold growing in them, and I kid you not, the light flickered the entire freaking time we were there.
Yeah, that was
and there was no room
weird.
service, so we were like, okay. So we went down, and I don't even remember what we ate down there. I think we were just so over it that we ate like nuts or something stupid.
Yeah, didn't we like DoorDash or something?
Probably. Or we tried. This was like, So then we're like, let's just go to bed. Honestly, let's drink a glass of wine. Let's go to bed. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Was this the hotel you spilled all the wine all over my bed?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, same hotel. So at this point, we're like, let's just go up to the room. There's nothing to do because we thought this was going to be the mecca of a hotel.
Yeah.
So we asked the bartender if we could take a bottle of wine upstairs because, again, there's no room service. There's no gift shop.
Couldn't even order food at the bar.
No. So we're like, oh, whatever, we'll take some wine upstairs. And again, we're staying in separate bedrooms. So we were just hanging in, like, I think, it was my room.
Yeah.
We were watching TV, talking, whatever. And then Elizabeth spills an entire glass of red wine on the bed. And then she's
all
like,
over her shit.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to my room. I was like, oh.
I still have that tag because it's like soaked in red wine.
We did save the tag. We spilled it all over the tag that I was supposed to wear the next day.
Yeah.
It was soaked in red wine. I got to find some pictures of these things because we did document them.
Yeah.
So that was that hotel and that trip. So we stayed in, and then on that same trip, it was gross. The hotel rooms were gross. And remember, our flight got canceled due to snow. There was a big snowstorm and we had to stay another night.
Yeah.
But that wasn't your fault. That was just like a trip blunder.
Got canceled. It was like when the FAA went down for a minute.
Yes, because remember we turned the TV on in the morning before market, which we never do.
And Peter and Hunter called us both.
And they called us and they're like, you guys know there's like an outage. And we're like, it's fine.
Yeah, they canceled our flight.
They canceled our flight.
We sat on the plane for like
I forgot about that.
Like, we were starting to get claustrophobic.
Okay, so we did get to go to the airport. And remember, we kept saying, okay, they're stupid. They thought we were going to get canceled.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the airport and we board the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honest to God, probably an hour later, they wouldn't turn the air conditioning on, nothing. It was hotter than sin on there.
I think it was over an hour because I remember like at the hour mark, we started to get like, but so
then they said, okay, we're getting ready to take off now. We've made it. And we were like, oh, thank God. And meanwhile, in the hour and a half we were sitting on there, we were looking up like another flight out because we were like, what do we do? Although we couldn't get off the plane. It wasn't a choice.
Yeah. Well, remember the pilot came on and he's like, right now, we're good. If you want to get off, you got to get off now, but you can't get back on.
No. Yeah. He said, like, if you get off, there's no getting back on. So we were like, well,
let's wait it out.
Actually, no. That's not true. He said we could not get off. Then after like an hour, he came on and said, we're going to let everybody get off. And you have like 15 minutes to take a bathroom break and we're getting back on and you have to be on at this time, which was rare that they were going to let us off the plane. So we get off the plane and at this point we're like, are we getting back on? I don't know. But then they came over the loudspeaker. They're like, all right, let's reload. Yeah. So we're like, okay, here we go. Yeah. We went to the bathroom. We got a snack. We get back on and we get going on the runway. Mm-hmm. We make it like 2 feet on the runway. We start moving and all of a sudden the flight attendant gets on and she's like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry to tell you, but we're going to head back. The pilots have timed out.
So annoying.
We're like, why did we even attempt it? And then the pilot gets on. He's like, we decided to give it to our old good college try and get off.
He knew.
They knew we weren't going to be able to make it off. So then we did
this was
get
like
off the flight.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, at this point it's like 1. We go down to baggage claim because we were like, where's our stuff? We're sitting at this empty baggage claim. Elizabeth's laying on the thing that goes around, which I'm like, your hair's going to get caught in that. She didn't care. She's sleeping there. And there's not a hotel to be had.
Yeah, because everybody's flights were canceled.
So we're asking the desk, we're like, is there a hotel? She's like, I mean, not within 15 miles of here. So we're trying to find our bags, which we can't find.
Called up Peter to help us with the hotel.
We tried to call Peter. He was zero help.
Nuh-uh, remember he ended up booking it for us.
No, remember he was like cracking up at first and we're like, help us.
Yeah.
And then we hung up on him and then we figured out the baggage. Then we went back and we asked him, do you think this one's good? And he said, yeah. I guess you're going to have to go with this one far away.
Yeah, it was like 40 minutes.
We had to beg him to help us. So we take an Uber about like 30-ish minutes away from the airport.
Not to mention our flight in the morning was a 6 a.m. flight and it's 1 o'clock in the morning at this point.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock.
So we're like, should we just freaking sleep in the airport?
Yeah. So by the time we get the Uber, get to the hotel, it's 2:30 and we're at the Grand Ole Opry or whatever that place was called, something like that.
Yeah. Very extravagant, but it was the only thing that we could find.
We had no choice. Probably we were like, I don't really care. I would have stayed like anywhere at this point. So by the time we get checked into this hotel, it's almost 3. Our flight leaves at 6. So we're like, I guess we'll go upstairs, sleep for like an hour and a half. We start heading upstairs and Elizabeth sees somebody she knows.
I'm like, Greg?
And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to go have an espresso martini. Do you want to come? I'm like, no.
Greg is one of my favorite people on the entire planet. And like, just
he was very sweet.
Odds that like we were in the same city away from home in the checkout line at this random ass hotel at 2 o'clock in the morning. After, like, it was just like so weird.
It was weird coincidence. But at this point, I was like so freaking tired, so gross. I'm like, no, I'm going to go sleep.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'm going to have one drink and be up.
We hung out with the bachelorette party.
My alarm goes off to wake up, and Elizabeth is not to be found. And I text her, I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm coming up. I'm like, no, I'm coming down. So we head back to the airport. We finally go home. That was that trip.
Yeah, we made it. That was so freaking brutal. Wow, that's probably one of the most brutal travel experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
That was really brutal.
So that brings us to the next traveling trip, which was Vegas. And by this point, Tracy was with us. So we were sharing a room. And we get to Vegas and we have the first day free. Because of the time change, when we go to Vegas, we usually get there on a Sunday, which allows us like half a day free, which doesn't happen in any of the other cities because there's no time change. And we decided we were going to treat ourselves and get a massage. And we were staying at the Wynn. This is also still before we decided that we needed a budget. We tromp on down.
After that, we realized.
Yeah, right after that trip, we were like, and that's a wrap. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'll tell it backwards because there was another one actually before that.
Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about
that. But let me just finish the Vegas one because it's pretty short. But we get down there and Elizabeth confidently walks up to check us in and there's no reservation as
Tracy's
per usual.
Giggling in the background.
And the lady's like, I don't have a reservation. And Elizabeth looks in her 20,000 emails and it's booked for the next week. Not the week we're there, the next week. And then Elizabeth's like, do you have anything? She's like, we're booked.
I meant, well,
so
I booked him. It just wasn't for the right weekend.
That's okay. No big deal. We'll go upstairs. And the rest of the trip did go fine. But it was just another blunder. The trip before that, which I missed, was Atlanta. And if we were also staying in separate rooms. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth comes in my room and she's like, so we have a problem. I'm like, what? She's like, Peter just called me and I have his car keys here. And he's trying to leave for work.
And this was when our house was like under construction and he like had to move his car.
Yeah. So Elizabeth has to trail down in an Uber to the nearest like FedEx store or shipping store.
It was UPS. I had to overnight it.
To overnight Peter's keys.
He was so mad at me. I was so mad at myself. I had like driven it a few days before and the key was still in my purse. And then we took off for this trip and of course he's like in Steve mode early in the morning. He's like, where's my car key? I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, we call her husband Steve when he's being crabby. So about like 50-60% of the time he goes by Steve. The other Peter.
Yeah.
But so we had to mail Steve his keys. And that was fine.
Yeah.
That was fine. That was the end of that one. But
no, remember I left my freaking credit card at the bar.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. See, there's so many. I'm not even kidding. So the next night we go to a bougie dinner.
Hotel bar.
It was the steakhouse again.
But then we came back to the hotel bar and that's where I left it. Remember, it was at the hotel.
Yeah, at the steakhouse at the bar.
Oh, at the steakhouse at the hotel. They all run together for me.
I know. So we went to the steakhouse once again, no budget at this point. And we're getting apps and drinks. And, we go back upstairs, we go to bed, and the next day we go to market.
Yeah.
And we go to pay a vendor. And Elizabeth's like, I don't have my card.
Yeah, my business freaking credit card. I left it at the bar.
So we call the restaurant, and they say they don't have it.
Yeah, they weren't open yet. So he was like, I don't really know. I don't see it anywhere.
He said, I'll go over there and check.
Yeah.
Because they have a place they put them and we don't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, when they open, we'll go over there because they definitely have it. Like, it has to be there.
Yeah.
So we have to tromp back over there and we happened to run into the same waiter we had. And she had found it for us and put it away in a separate drawer.
But that was after the whole day of market, though. I luckily had my credit card number like in an email, and I was giving it to the vendors. Yeah,
we had to like write it out. Like,
but that bartender saved the day. She's like, "Oh, here's your credit card." I also lost an earring that night, and I still am sad about that. It was a good earring.
Yeah, I just thought of something else though. That
one was also really stressful.
Was a trip with Sav, so it had to have been another Dallas trip. Dallas.
It was the first in January
time. Yeah, Sav came, and I'm like, wait, something happened then too.
Really? I thought that was the one that I nailed.
Yes, that was it. Sav, Sav just reminded me. This one wasn't Elizabeth's fault, but we obviously had to have a blunder happen. We were leaving in the morning out of our room, the four of us walking out, and all of a sudden we see this woman.
Oh my God.
Stumbling down the hallway. And Elizabeth and I walked out first. Yeah. And we see this woman stumbling out the hallway. To be fair, there was a scrunchie on the floor. And I thought she was walking towards us. I thought it was her scrunchie.
Yeah. It happened really fast. Because we literally opened the door.
Very quickly. And then we keep walking and we look back and she starts walking in our room in which
this is at
Sav's halfway
6
out
in the morning. Yeah. She was coming back.
Had a night out.
Yeah. Her eyeliner's
all down her face. She kind of looked cracked out. Yeah. And she starts going in and Tracy's like, this is not your room. It's not your room.
Tracy was in there by herself.
Sav ran back in to get Tracy and tell this woman it's not her room. This woman's like cracking up. It was the weirdest experience.
It was so weird.
She left. We were like, that was so bizarre.
And it all happened so fast. Like, we were walking to the elevator and we were like, what in the hell just happened? Like, that woman just...
That was another place, though. We got back. There was no food at the hotel. We went to the bar and then we Uber Eats pizza and ate it on the hotel floor.
Yep.
And that was the snow.
That was the snowstorm.
That was the snowstorm. That one. Okay, yeah. So that was that one. Then that brings me to our latest trip. Now, this was not a work trip. This was a trip for Heidi's wedding.
Wait, was there nothing I did dumb in Vegas this year? Oh my
gosh. Okay, I don't remember what trip this was on.
Was
it Dallas? Same trip. So Elizabeth asks Tracy if she can have some eye drops, which... mind you, Elizabeth wears contacts and glasses and didn't bring any eye drops, I
don't ever use
contact solution.
I don't ever use eye drops. I don't know why I needed them that trip. I guess my
eyes were dry. She asked for eye drops. So Tracy says, okay, it's in that bag. And a normal human would read it. She drops.
Okay, Tracy, back me up. To be fair, the freaking whatever the hell it was.
Wait, let me just say what it was first.
Okay.
She drops cuticle oil into her eye. Thank God it wasn't nail glue.
It felt like freaking nail glue. It burned so
I will give you
bad.
It was in a little thing that looked like it could
just
be
like a Visine thing,
except for it was orange,
or
colored or something. And so then she's rinsing out her eyeball.
I mean, I low key for a second thought that I maybe was going to be blind in one eye.
Everyone was honestly kind of concerned for you. I'm trying to think of Vegas this year, if anything happened. I mean, certainly something had to have happened because we've never taken a trip where it hasn't.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember.
Oh, she walked out on the waiter without leaving the check in Vegas.
Yeah, we told that story already.
We already told that one, but yeah, she did that.
I didn't mean to.
No, she didn't mean to. There was a lot of things in Vegas, but they weren't like, she did go up to the counter, and Tracy, Sav, and I didn't go. We stood back and we were like, do we think we have a room? Like, we were taking bets at this point because she's notorious for this.
I get very nervous walking up to a hotel counter every work trip.
Yeah, minus forgetting to pay the waiter. That one was fine. But that brings us to our most recent trip. Was not a work trip. We were going to a friend's wedding.
Yes.
And everything was fine, except for we get to the airport to fly home, and Elizabeth's like rummaging her bag, and I turn around and look at her, and she's like, can you just look in my bag and find my purse for me? I'm like, okay. So I turn around, I'm looking through this bag she has, and I'm like, your purse isn't here. And then by this point, the lady's calling me to check in. And like, you know how you take your picture, scan your ID. So I'm checking in,
annoying.
And then Elizabeth gets through security, and she's like, thank God I have my ID. I forgot my purse.
Yep.
So she forgot her purse, which at the moment I was like, Florida. What's in your purse? And she's like, I forgot my meds.
Meds and car key.
Well, you didn't realize the car key yet.
No,
she just realized the meds. And I was like, all right, whatever, it's fine. Just ask Heidi to bring it home. So Heidi said she'd bring it home. We land in Columbus, and we changed our flight to come back a little bit earlier and be on a direct flight. So our cars were at a different airport.
Yes.
So we were just going to Uber to the airport. Well, we get off, and Elizabeth's charging off the plane. I didn't sit by her. And she's like, I don't know if you heard Peter, but he's been telling the whole flight that I forgot the keys in Florida.
So grumpy again.
So we get off the plane. Elizabeth has no car keys. They're in Florida.
Such a pain in the ass.
She has no way of getting home, so she just Ubers home. And I looked at Peter, and I'm like, you know whose problem this is going to be? Mine. Because she's not going to go back for it tonight. You're going to be at work tomorrow, and she's going to make this my problem. And lo and behold, we get home, and she says, so what time are you going to pick me up for work tomorrow?
I did end up just Ubering to the fucking
She
airport,
did end up Ubering because we ran out of time.
God, it was so annoying.
That
and
was
then I had to call
recent.
my doctor, call the pharmacy, all the freaking things. But it's all fine.
All that to say that traveling with Elizabeth is, there's always something.
The thing is, I really do try. Like, I really do try, but there's just always something.
We
it's
all
just
have
my
strengths and
ADHD.
weaknesses. I have taken over the booking of travel.
Yeah.
And
for good reason, clearly.
Yeah, which is fine. But she always brings the fun on a trip. I'll say that. I mean, she's bringing the fun and she's bringing the stories, but she's often not bringing the clothes,
Trips
the tickets.
Probably be really boring without me.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear if you're a type A, type B person on a trip. But I feel like there's something great about going on a trip with a type A and a type B.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's kind of fun to go.
Because if you don't have a type A, then you're just like, fuck.
You're paddling up water with no row, or what's that called?
I don't think that's
Shit
it.
up a creek or something like that. Or
paddling
up
a
paddle or something like that. Yeah. Anyways,
paddling against the river.
Yeah, current. I don't know. But anyways, that often is us on trips, just paddling the other way, and we make do.
Just defining the word pivot.
Yeah, just pivoting at all costs. But yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, that is our episode for this time. We're going to try to re-record our next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribing is,
it's huge for us.
Huge.
We appreciate it if you guys do it. And reviewing.
Yeah. And don't forget, we have a code for 10% off our listeners.
Yep. Unbuttoned 10.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
See you next week.